Hi and welcome back to the channel, and in this episode we're going to look at some of the moving and shaking that's happening in the WA Rally Championship for next year. So this is not a video that we would normally make. Normally we don't get involved in what happens in the Rally Championship as such, and normally the dates. However, for 2026 the WA Rally calendar is changing quite a bit, and there's a few rule changes to go through. So it is worth noting because for everybody out there, they may need to know that, and we feel it's worth making a video on it. So let's get straight into it. Basically, let's start with the calendar. So for next year, the calendar has seen some significant changes. First of all, at the start of the year is 11th of April, so an early April start, which is what we've had for the last few years. We have been running at a place called Windvale. It's been the Windvale stages to the northeast of Perth. It's private property. This year, the event was ran as a sprint. However, in next year's calendar, we have round one listed and no name, no location, which is a good indication that it may not be running at Windvale and me going somewhere else. So we'll have to keep our eyes and ears open for that one to see what happens with that in the championship. Round two, which is a round of the Australian Rally Championship, and the dates have been out for quite some time for that, is the Forest Rally from the 22nd to the 24th of May. Now the Forest is the largest event in WA. It is a round of the Australian Rally Championship. It runs for 2 days, potentially 2.5, depending on how they organise it all, in Nannup, to the southwest of Perth, and it's a very big event. So planning for that and accommodation and whatever needs to be sorted out pretty early in the piece, otherwise you could end up missing out. Round three of the championship, however, is where things change. Into June, the 20th of June, will be the Experts Cup Rally in Collie. Now, in the last few years, that event has run later in the year, September, October sort of time, and it has been the last round of the championship, certainly has been for the last few years, and it's been a decider. It's a very popular rally. However, organisers have opted to move that rally now to June. Now, for modern competitors that haven't been around for, say, 10 or 15 years, this would seem like an odd change. However, for us competitors that have been around for quite some time, the Experts Cup used to run in winter months, and it used to actually be a night, pretty much an all-night event, or a very late afternoon and late evening event. So it is going back to its roots, and that may be a change that's been made to do with the conditions of the roads and having some more moisture. We don't know exactly. However, it is something to note. So basically, more or less, two of Western Australia's most popular rallies are going to run back-to-back, with the Forest and then the Experts Cup. About a month or so after the Experts Cup comes round 4 of the season, and that will be the Carry Rally in Manjimup. So it'll be in very late winter on the 24th and 25th of July. Now that event this year actually worked out quite well. The weather was pretty reasonable. I think there was some light rain. However, the previous year, the rain was torrential. So this time I think the organisers have moved the event a week or two later, in the hope that maybe we'll avoid a little bit more of that rain and still have some nice weather. That event is going to run on a Friday night, presumably anyway, on a Friday night, and then a Saturday, the same as it has this year. And that will take us for a fair trek down south. Moving on to round 5 of the championship, and another move of a rally. This time around it's the Grimwade Stages Rally, which has been run in early July for the last few years, and it has been shifted to late August to the 29th, probably in an effort to try and alleviate some of the wet weather problems, because well, the last few years it has been fairly torrential. So that will also change up the schedule for competitors. The final round of the championship, round 6, is going to be on the 17th of October, and another event that has shifted. It is going to be the Warren River Rally. Now, it was a new rally this year run in Pemberton, and again it was diabolically wet, so moving that rally to later in the year should hopefully give us some drier roads and some drier conditions, and we won't get all drowned in the service park like we did this year. So therefore, that's our 6-round championship. There is quite a bit of logistics to work out there, so having as much notice as possible for teams, for planning, will help. There's probably a whole bunch of reasons behind there. We're not privy to those reasons. We could take some guesses at that. I would say weather is having a fair impact on why they've changed it. Also, some of the times of year that we have been in some of the locations, there are other things going on in there, other events, which tend to tie up accommodation and other bits and pieces and logistics. So between the organisers and the controlling bodies, say like, that control the forests and give access for the roads and things like that, they have worked out potentially a better schedule. So we'll see. It'll be very interesting to see how that all goes for 2026. And to be honest, looking forward to it, to having some conditions that probably better suit the events. Okay, let's talk about some of the rule changes of 2026, particularly how they relate to the clubman. Now, for many of you know, we have been advocates of the clubman for a very long time, and we continue to do so. However, it is fair to say that it has been under-supported, particularly in recent times, and maybe some of these rule changes will turn that around. Now, there's about 5 or 6 of them that are changes. They're all sort of interrelated, so I'm just going to sort of talk about them all together, and hopefully I don't lose anybody along the way, because it is a little bit confusing in there. Righto, so within the clubman in Western Australia, there's effectively 2 categories, the Clubman Cup and the Clubman Masters. Now, effectively what happens is the Clubman Cup is sort of the entry level into the championship. So effectively this is where we encourage people to start rallying. Now, to do any clubman rallying in Western Australia has to be a 2-wheel drive car only. However, what happens is if you win the Clubman Cup, so the championship for the year, or your seating becomes too high, in other words, you become too fast for the Clubman Cup, then you're automatically bumped up into Clubman Masters, the category above. Now, the thing with the Clubman Masters is this particular category, you're only able to get into it if you meet the requirements. So it's a fairly exclusive club. As of 2026, that requirement is going to be removed. So therefore, you don't have to have won the clubman or be fast enough to get in there. You can opt into it straight out of the blocks. So effectively, it's a step towards sort of amalgamating clubmen as one whole. But at the moment, we're going to have sort of 2 internal categories within the clubman. So that's the first significant thing. Second significant thing in there is that you'll be able to enter the Clubman Cup or Clubman Masters, if you're eligible for both of those, at the start of the season. So effectively on your very first rally, you may have never rallied before, and you go, you know what, tick the box, I'm going to do Clubman Masters from the word go. You're absolutely able to do that, no problem at all, as long as you meet the requirements and for the whole season. So once you've ticked that box for Clubman Masters, that's it. You're doing that for the whole season. You're not able to chop and change back and forth. And for those that have previously won the Clubman Cup or have got a high enough seating, you won't be able to go back to just do the Clubman Cup anyway in the Masters. So hopefully that's not too confusing. Also, from a rally perspective, what will happen is the clubman will be treated as one. So there won't be trophies awarded for first to third in Clubman Masters and then first to third in Clubman Cup. Instead, there'll be just first to third in the clubman. However, if you're a Clubman Cup competitor, the first Clubman Cup competitor will get a trophy. Also, on top of that, there is still going to be a Clubman Rookie Series. So if you come into Clubman in your first season, you'll be able to compete for the Rookie Series. And this year, within our team, Patrick took that out as Clubman Rookie Driver. So that will continue for new entrants into the sport. And I think that's a great thing, just to encourage, competitors to have something to drive for. And if we look at the, let's look at a Clubman Rally for next year as an example. Let's say the first 3 places are taken by Clubman Masters and the 4th car is a Clubman Cup car. Well, then that 4th place will be awarded the first Clubman Cup. Hopefully I didn't make that too confusing. I tried to keep it as simple as possible. So that is all towards making the clubman sort of a whole and encouraging more into the sport, and everybody's racing against each other rather than being a little bit more segregated in there. Also, adding on to that, for the rally organisers, there has been some changes that will allow rally organisers to opt where they want to run the clubman competitors in the field. So effectively, what's happened for nearly the last 20 years, I would say, clubman competitors have run behind state championships, so at the back of the field. And there are some advantages to that. However, there are also some disadvantages, particularly for clubman competitors. Now, as of 2026, what will happen is organisers will be able to either run the Clubman Cup at the front of the field, in the field, mixed in with all the state championship competitors, or at the back of the field, depending on the rally and the event and whatever. And I'm kind of hoping that where possible, organisers will run Clubman at the front. There is some advantages to that for the sport as a whole, as far as I can see, and also for the Clubman competitors. So with all of those sort of changes to the Clubman, hopefully that is going to encourage more Clubman competitors into the sport. And if you are thinking about doing the Clubman, or you want to get into rallying, then by all means, please get in touch with us, because we do encourage a lot of people into Clubman anyway. We're plugged in on how this all works and the rule changes and all that sort of stuff, and we are very, very keen both for new competitors to get in, and also for competitors who may have been rallying previously and have sat on the sidelines and have gone, oh, you know, I wouldn't mind getting back into it again. However, yeah, now's the time to be able to come and do it. You know, get into it and come and show your support for rallying, where you can do, you know, an easier, potentially easier, logistically easier, you know, sort of category, and get some fun in there. So they're the changes that are probably the most significant. I'm sure there's more to come out in the future. However, between the calendar for next year and these other changes, I think 2026, at least on paper at this point in time, is looking pretty good. Now, righto, I'm going to sign off now, because we are getting very close to the end of the year, and there is a lot of things to be sorted out still. We still got plenty going on in the workshop. We are trying to get these last few bits and pieces done before the silly season kicks in. So if we don't catch up with you before, then have a great and safe festive season. Please drive carefully on the roads. It is full of nutcases at the moment. And we'll catch you again soon. Cheers.